Welcome.
Welcome. Hello.
Hey. This is going to be a unique night. Lots of reasons. Some of you who have been here for 14 years can start to just let your memory go back to see what this is, where we've been, and where God has brought us. So for me, it's going to be emotional, and I'm going to be like really giddy, excited for a while, which is inappropriate on Good Friday, so forgive me. And then there might be times where I just cry, because I can't believe it. And so up and down is where I'll be, and just ask for your grace in the midst of it. 14 years ago, almost to the day, we started a church in Lakeville at Century Junior High, Living Waters Church, and we started with a communion service. And it was really a meaningful, very meaningful communion service. I really had wanted to get into this space before Easter so we could test, the mics, the sound, the TV, the screens, whatever we had. Chairs, how we're going to arrange them. Just give us a couple of weeks, Lord, to get it set. And now, I'm so glad that this is our first service. That we get to have communion for the very first thing. Because it's a night of trust. And the disciples were struggling with it. Like, we don't get it, Jesus. That you would come and teach and do everything so well and heal and show us that you're the Messiah and then tell us that you're going to die. It doesn't make sense. And so they had to trust him. They had to totally walk with him and trust him. And that's what these last few weeks for me have been. You just have to trust. You have to trust that this is going to be what I want it to be. It's on my timing. And that's what it means to walk with Christ. Just to trust him. And tonight, as we celebrate this Good Friday, we get to break in this worship center with a worship that is focused on the greatest gift ever. That God would send his Son to dwell among us, to show us the way to the Father, and to give his life on the cross for us. And they're having a meal together, remembering what God had done for Israel in the Passover. They were celebrating a Passover feast, that they were getting set free from slavery. That's part of what this picture is, being set free from the slavery of sin, from our burdens. And they were celebrating God's victory in that. And they had this huge meal. And in the midst of it, towards the end of it, Jesus took the bread and he drew their attention to him and said, "This bread is my body. It's going to be broken for you." And then he took the cup and he drew their attention to it and said, "This cup is like blood. It's the blood of the new covenant. It's for the forgiveness of sins. It's how we get to God through the sacrifice of Jesus." And he told them, he said, "I eagerly look forward to celebrating this with you." Even though he knew that the next step was death. I eagerly look forward to worshiping with you. To remembering Christ's sacrifice for us. And that's what he said when he did that, when he broke it. He said, "Remember this. Remember that my body was broken for you. Remember that my blood was poured out for you." And then he went to pray and suffered in the garden. And then he was brought to the chief priests. And he was mocked. And he was beaten. And he was put on trial. And then Pilate took Jesus and had him flogged. And the soldiers twisted together a crown of thorns and put it on his head. They clothed him in a purple robe and went up to him again and again, saying, "Hail, O King of the Jews," mocking him. And they struck him in the face. Once more Pilate came out and said to the Jews, "Look, I am bringing him out to you. Know that I find no basis for a charge against him." And they ridiculed him some more. And the crowd that had been there last Sunday shouting, "Hosanna, the King, save us, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord," was now shouting, "Crucify him. Crucify him. Take him away." And Pilate said, "Shall I crucify your king?" And finally, Pilate handed him over to be crucified. So the soldiers took charge of Jesus, carrying his own cross. He went out to the place of the skull, which in Aramaic is called Golgotha. And here they crucified him, and on each side were two others, one on each side, Jesus in the middle. They took his robe, his garment. They divided his garments among them, casting lots for his clothing. And near the cross of Jesus stood his mother, his mother's sister, Mary the wife of Clopas, Mary Magdalene. And near the cross, Father, we want to draw near the cross tonight. We want to draw near to the suffering of Jesus Christ so that we are mindful of the great sacrifice of your love for us. We want to draw near to the table to hear the words of Jesus saying, "This is my body broken for you, broken for me individually. This is my blood poured out for you." We want to draw near to the crowd and the cross and the sounds and the suffering so that we are mindful of the depth of your love for us. So hear the worship of our lips, our mouths, and soften our hearts so that you can hear the worship of our hearts.